Well, I think first, something we didn't actually say Friday night, we need to go ahead and address now at the beginning. And this is for both Twitch and YouTube. What's up, y'all? Segues. You like that?
Hey.
Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, the bell icon. Check out all the new stuff we're putting out. If you didn't have a chance to catch it, we're going to recap everything here in this episode for you. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, the bell icon to stay up on all the fun stuff we're going to be putting out right here. YouTube.com/The Gaming Bunch. So the thing we forgot to mention Friday night was directly related to this, the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is, so for all of history of TGB, the podcast has always been at the core about gaming. And we could go off on whatever branch, on whatever tree we want to, but at some point that topic's going to relate back to gaming in a direct way. Now part of us adding in, which we need to do, I'll probably do that here in a moment, adding in the suggestion box in our Discord, is now the podcast is wide open, fair game. We're gonna be talking about anything and everything. It doesn't have to relate to gaming. It can, it may not, whatever, because in reality, something we all discussed and recognized was the fact that if we stay trying to talk about gaming every single episode, every single week, we're going to run out of shit to talk about.
Yep.
There's times where we sit here and go, I got nothing.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the latest news? There's nothing, honestly. It's kind of dry.
Yeah, very much so. So with that said, we're going to be talking about anything and everything tonight. Of course, it's going to be a recap of everything we've done this weekend, everything we've talked about this weekend. But this is really where we're at with the podcast now. Is when you get this on Twitch or on YouTube, it's going to be open ended. So, and it'll help us broaden the market a lot more too on things we talk about, because a lot more people will be able to relate or offer their comments or ideas towards what we talk about, not just the very saturated gaming market as what we already focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is one thing we failed to mention, but that is the I guess you could say the mantra moving forward, the mentality towards this moving forward is that it's gonna be covering everything. So but let's jump in. So I know we're doing a recap of our absolutely insane weekend.
Yeah,
we have had.
It's been a long weekend, but a great weekend. Oh my God. Like it's been the culmination of months and months of work just finally coming all together. And it's just, for you to look at and look at all the pretty shiny things that we have now. So, kind of just freshen things up a little bit, because TGB, as long as it's has basically been the same theme for quite a while. And kind of like Joe mentioned, I think it was on Friday when we were doing like the celebration stream, is that TGB has changed quite a bit. I mean, Anderson and I came in not from the very beginning, we came in at different times. So it's a new TGB, it's a new world, it's a new everybody, everything, everyone.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And I for one am thrilled with how everything looks.
Yeah.
It's just with the stream and everything that Drew and Mark did for the graphics and the video editing and all that fun stuff. So if you're here for the failure of the intro rolling this morning, here just a little bit ago, I started accidentally running the Forza one because I forgot to switch scenes because I'm a professional streamer. But you were able to catch the podcast one, and so we have the new introducing your hosts, and then we've got our awesome little 8-bit animation dudes that we've got, and a bunch of fireworks, and just it's a celebration. It's fun, and so everything that we've got going on with that, I really like the color scheme and just the movement of it, because the last one was very static, and I I mean, the intros were great, like the ones that Drew did and everything, but everything else was very static, nothing moved, which can be a good thing for simplicity's sake, but I don't know. I like what's going on in the background over here.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, and again, massive shout out to you for working on everything with the stream that you've done to make it look as amazing as it possibly can. Because
thank you.
I mean, I'm going to speak for myself. Anderson, you chime in, but I don't know nothing about that.
Anderson's being very quiet.
I don't know if he's muted, if his volume was down, if he
No, it wasn't any of those. I just kind of tuned out everything.
Oh, whoops. Well, I see how it is. He was sitting here complimenting me, and you're just sitting there tuning it out. It's all good.
To be honest, when Joe started doing the whole YouTube and Twitch thing, I kind of just tuned out.
That was a while ago. Like, I've been talking since then.
Yeah, my brain was just like, nah, fam.
I mean, to be fair, it has been a long weekend. Like, we've all been incredibly busy, so I can see.
I even took this day to take the day off, and I was just like, oh god.
Yep. No, I mean, yeah, no, setting all this up was super, super fun. I hope everybody out there likes it. Kate's in chat now saying, hey, gents, love the new theme. It's amazing. Well, thank you. We really like it. Definitely,
it's a theme.
Yeah, definitely a lot of trials and tribulations, and something that we didn't bring up for the celebration. We had mentioned that, and Anderson kind of brought up that, at first, the whole kind of 80s vibe was, potentially not great, but we kind of came down to the way we came to that conclusion was we picked two different themes. We picked this one, and then like a kind of 2000s grunge kind of like hip hop kind of
like graffiti
urban
theme.
Yeah, like graffiti theme. And so Mark, the guy that made our logo, came up with two different logos for us. So he came up with that one, and then he came up with like a more kind of graffiti style one. And I think all of us kind of instantly kind of gravitated towards that 80s one.
Yeah, we definitely like the 80s one a lot more.
Yeah.
After that, it was just the direction of where to take the intros, the like static images, and then the music of the channel.
Yeah. Which, like you mentioned, the music was a little bit of a hot topic there, but we all came to an agreement. And yeah, and so now
let's call it agreement. Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things.
We worked it out.
We worked it out. And so yeah, I mean, you're not hearing anything right now. I normally have some music kind of playing in the background. I forgot to add that on, but it's our first podcast with the new stuff, so gotta cut us a little bit of a break. Cut me a little bit of a break. Yeah, and then like I'm so excited for everybody to see that challenge intro theme though. Like,
I am too.
That's the
one I fought for.
Oh, and it's even beyond that, just like the editing that Drew put in on that.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's just, you'll have to wait till this coming up Saturday to see that, because it's a beauty.
She's a beauty ending.
She's a beaut. But yeah, I guess what are y'all's overall thoughts and feelings? I've been talking for a while.
Joe, I'll let you. I tuned out, so I need to get back up to par.
Do what? You broke up like crazy. I mean, I don't know if it was my end or not.
I got back up. I tuned out, so I need to get back up to par.
Oh. Okay. I mean, I have nothing I can add really. Like, y'all both hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
What? I'm confused. I'm so lost with where you are right now, Anderson. I don't know, like, I don't know how to. I don't know if this is a bit. I don't know how to go off of this right now. So
not a bit. So okay, y'all just keep talking.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I really have nothing else I can add. Y'all hit the nail on the head. I mean, as we said Friday night, now we can say it much more soberly. the amount of work that's gone into this has just been incredible. I mean, I'm thankful. I'm grateful for the team. I'm grateful for everything we've gotten done. And I was just talking earlier today about this. It feels like a weight off of my shoulders, and I don't know about y'all, but like now that we're finally here, all the work that's been going into this, now that we finally have it done, it just feels like a weight's been lifted, and I'm so thankful for that, because it's like I feel like we can finally get back to focusing on the minutia of the actual content we're providing, not just the overall branding that we're doing. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely the weight's lifted. We've got a lot more coming up that we're excited for. Honestly, with everything we've said, Anderson, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to this, but this is a great point to talk about last night, because I'm still riding the high off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, with the rebrand and everything like that, I was very much the person that was like not agreeing with anything that was coming up, because, well, like I said, on the music side, I don't do EDM. I don't do digital electronic dance music. And when that was what everybody wanted to focus towards, I was just like, I fucking hate everything of this. But then because I had to talk to Sam and Joe about this, and they told me to give it a shot. I told them I'd judge it effectively, or as unbiased as I could, and we came to an agreement. And then with the 80s theme, I was also an objector to that, because I don't really know what an 80s theme is, and I don't really care for any themes or anything like that. I just wanted it to be our channel. But then once again, talked about it, came to a agreement and everything. And with how everything turned out, even though I didn't agree with some stuff and everything like that, and I gave some, I was just like, you know what, I'll let y'all go with it, because I don't really know how to say I don't like it without saying I don't like it or anything like that. The way it turned out at the end, I'm pretty satisfied with it.
Yep. Nice.
And then with all the other content and stuff like that coming out, it'll be fun. It's gonna be a slog to put out, but I mean, it's gonna be fun, and that's originally why I came on here, to just have fun.
Yep. Yeah, and that's at the core of all of this is fun, but then equally as important, it's fun, not just fun for us, but fun for everybody, right? And so that's, we have like a little bit of, fanciness going on around us and everything. I think that's just going to help add to that, and just kind of put together an overall more fun package to deliver to you all. But yeah, like Joe was saying, that is a perfect time to start talking about last night, which was awesome. That was so fun. And I remember after the stream, I mean, of course, we don't well, at least I don't like to compare back to the first challenge series, but oh my God, what a night and day difference between.
What a major improvement.
Yeah. So pat ourselves on the back for that. But I mean, kind of having the dynamic between, Joe actually being in this challenge series, and then having a couple of us commentate on it. That was actually kind of fun. Like at first I was like, and of course, Joe still popped in and, did some stuff with us, but just kind of having us in both worlds, as opposed to like all of three of us just commentating, definitely helped smooth that transition. Kind of like Joe was talking about yesterday. And did you want to elaborate on that at all? Like on the transition? Like on the transition part. Like just since you were in the you were in the field, like literally. Like I know we joked last time that Anderson was the on-field correspondent, but like you were literally on the field, like racing and part of all the madness. So kind of what was going through your head while we were doing that, because we didn't have much communication during all that.
I mean, so when we went into this, I mean, we came up with the idea of me joining into it pretty late.
Yeah.
We came into it pretty late in the process of us setting everything up, because We had, tested the game. We had done everything. We really like checked, double checked, triple checked every single thing, top to bottom on the checklist of everything we needed, because we recognized the absolute, travesty that was the Rocket League tournament.
Yeah.
And we came up with the idea for me to join in late because I think we were just sitting here and we're like, we don't have that many people signing up yet. We have a decent number, but we're about halfway, because we can only bring in 20 racers. I don't know for any of y'all out there. I think it caps at 22 is how many you can have.
Yeah, it's like 22, 23
and drivers simultaneously.
It's kind of weird number, but I mean,
yeah,
kind of worked out for us.
And
honestly.
so, absolutely. And so when you have that middle of the pack, we were right at like 9 or 10, I think it was. And of course, if you tuned in last night, you saw some people did drop out. Not a problem. We still went with it. It was an absolute blast. But at that halfway point, we were like, what if one of us joined in? And the realistic side of it is, the mentality, at least for me, was Anderson didn't want to play it because that's not his style of gameplay. And then between Sam and I'm the worst driver. I'm just mean on the track.
No, we definitely didn't see that last night at all. The battles between you and Gary.
Yeah, they were
epic.
They were
great to commentate on. That's that we can say for sure.
We'll definitely cover that here in a second. But we went into the idea of like, well, why don't I join in as like a secret racer X? Like the day of, I'll come in and be like, oh, by the way, guess who's participating? Me. And it's funny too, because like when we got into it, from the field side of things, the guys, I could tell like they were kind of worried that I had been practicing, like we had selected these maps prior to, and I was like, no. I specifically told Sam, don't tell me any map you're choosing. Don't tell me the track. Don't tell me any variation of the track. I don't want to know. I want it to be fair across the board. And that's exactly how it went. I was just as much blind to the next track as all the other drivers.
Although, to be fair, on that point, real quick, so was I. Like, it was literally just me and Anderson going through like, oh, well, Spa sounds fun. Oh, wait. And then Anderson was like, oh, no, let's do Prague. I was like, yeah. And then that's when we were kind of trying to decide if we wanted to do the pit stops or not. And so like I was going through, I was like, well, like there's a longer version that's like, like almost 4 miles. And then there's like this kind of shorter one that's like about half that. And we were like, oh, let's do the half one. Yeah, that sounds good. And,
oh, yeah.
So like it was really cool, like kind of collaboration between me and Anderson on like kind of on the fly. Like, oh, we're just instantly flying around the world. It's cool.
It really was just by the seat of our pants at that point.
Yep.
Yeah. And I, honestly, the transition between commentating and the first one to actually participating was awesome. And it may be something we do in the future, because with one major thing that was really helpful was if there was something that needed to be communicated by the drivers, all they had to do was tell me and I could get it right over to y'all lickety split.
Yeah.
And that was super, super helpful. Like we were all communicating. They were telling me like, hey, this is going on. Like if there was server lag or anything, like I know in one race we had some server lag going on or whatever it was going on, but we were all experiencing it. And it's like, okay, well, I'll make sure to relay that to Sam for the next race. If it continues, and it let up by the end of the race. So we were like, okay, maybe it was just that one little thing, not a big deal. But like things like that are super important, because when you're hosting a tournament, you want to make sure everyone has a fair shot, and you want to make sure that you're providing, the best possible tournament to those drivers who are participating for literal, money. They're, we're giving out prizes. So like everyone has a fair shot at this, but like being able to be in the field, being able to actually be kind of a go-between really was a lot more efficient this way than it was last time. Because in the Rocket League tournament, I was the go-between there as well. I was jumping in and out of the, the main chat, going between the teams and us, and making sure like, hey, this is what's going on, so on and so forth. But just being in it was awesome. And then just the driving side of it, oh my God, that was that was the most fun I've had playing a game, let alone a tournament, in a long time. I mean, in a long time.
Nice.
And I mean, for y'all, like, I don't know. I went back and watched a little bit of the commentary just to see what y'all were saying, and y'all were giving me a lot of shit the entire time. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had to.
I expected nothing less, really. But from y'all's end, like, what was it? What about the races was cool, and then also what about being able to, what felt different from the last time to this time?
Yeah, Anderson, I'll let you go first on that.
What felt different from last time was that last time was very much like uncoordinated, I would say, and just like very much patchwork and just trying to make everything work instead of just actually being able to focus on the gameplay and like the competition itself. Whereas this time we were able to actually give healthy commentary. We were able to view the gameplay and everything like that, but we were also able to like commentate on every player's like gameplay during the episode stream, whatever you want to call it. And then it was very much not patchwork because everything was planned out in advance. And even though we had some hiccups before we jumped on stream, we were able to pretty much sort those out and keep on rolling and have a very consistent and conducive stream. So I think this one was a lot more smooth, a lot more fleshed out, and we prepared for it and executed it a ways better than the Rocket League one.
Yeah. And with that, I think like the only kind of issue I think we had was right at the beginning in the first race. I didn't get a lot of seat time in the spectate camera. And so like I wasn't 100% certain on how to operate it. So switching between the drivers is not the most intuitive thing.
No, we definitely had to figure that one out.
Yeah, so like that took us a little bit to like really figure out. But then once we got there, I was able to do that. Now, what I wish, and Microsoft or whatever studio makes Forza, if you could hear me right now, what I would say to you is please make it to where
there's a singular button and it's big and viewable.
That, and then also for the camera, allow me to control that a little bit more, because like there's no move, like I can't move the camera itself. All I can do is pick
automatically.
Yeah, pick between the different views and that's it. Which can be okay if there was a more smooth way to do it. Like if I could do it with like keyboard shortcuts, that would be a lot easier. Because
I would also say for that camera, like don't make it to where I got to click on the camera button, select the driver, then click on the camera button again to confirm it. Yeah. Just make it so where I switch to the driver, the camera switches too, so I can view them, and I don't have to do redundant clicks.
Yeah, and that's where I think like the keyboard shortcuts would come in handy. Like, because on like Rocket League, for example, I could like say there's 6 players on a field on a 3v3, right? And so the camera, like if I wanted to focus in on one particular person, they had a designated button, like it was 1 2 3 4 5 6 at the very top of the keyboard, and I could just like, all right, cool, I want to switch over to Rusty, then I can do that just by pushing the one button. Where on this one, the camera wasn't like the positions, or not the positions, the players weren't sorted by their players, they were sorted by their position. And so like for example, going between you and Gary, you weren't always in the same spot because you guys were always battling first and second, for example. And so like that's kind of the only technical issue that we had at the beginning. But once we kind of got through that, it became a lot smoother, and we were able to transition between them a lot more cleanly and actually be able to catch a lot of the action that happened. I mean, there were so many times that like Anderson would kind of go and like kind of pre-scope out for me, and he's like, oh, let's switch over to Isaac, let's see what he's doing. Oh, and he just wrecked huge into the wall, or something like that. And so now I'm able to actually catch that on that. I think the only one I missed is a time that you actually crashed like real big into the wall. But
yeah,
that I think that's the only one that I actually missed. But everything else, for the most part, like all the major highlights, we're able to get with that. But then also, kind of going back to what you were saying with the being able to coordinate with like the actual players on the field a lot easier, that was a huge help, having somebody on the inside basically.
For real.
And so I would love to see that again if we can, although at the same time it's kind of this weird kind of catch-22, because like of course when we want to play and have fun, but at the same time, like this challenge series, the entire point of it is for y'all to have fun with us, right? And so like it's this balancing act of like not trying to make it completely unfair. Like in the Madden one, I don't think Joe should play.
No.
Like, because Joe would cream everybody. No offense to anybody out there, but like that Madden's his game. Like Rocket League is my game, Madden is his game. And if we ever have a nuns tournament, Anderson is not allowed to play. Like,
no, me and Joe have already discussed this strictly.
Yeah. So I think, as long as it's fair, as long as it's balanced, and as long as, of course, we're not going to win anything out of that personally. Like, of course, like Joe was in as like the people's champion and then gave away his winnings to somebody random in the stream. So as long as we can kind of keep up that mentality and that balance, I think, that's going to be a good potential plan going forward if possible.
I think, if I may, I think the biggest thing from here on, and this may change, this is just on observation from this past weekend. I think the big thing that we have to recognize is there may be instances where we have to join.
Yeah.
Like not for the sake of people, the number of people we have involved, but just for the fact of how fluid everything was, how smooth everything ran the entire tournament. Because there really was no confusion last night as far as the overall like understanding and flow of the tournament.
Yeah,
it was like and giving you an insight on what it sounded like in the drivers VC. When we were sitting in there in the first race, I jumped over because y'all were like, all right, get on over there. And I was like, all right, bye. And I jumped over and I started talking to them and everything. And I'm getting my car set up because I didn't have time prior to the tournament to do that. So I'm getting my Lotus set up. And, of course, we're seeing the messages come through from y'all like, all right, y'all need to ready up. Come on now. Like, let's get this going. And it was funny, like we didn't know when the race was going to start. So like we're sitting there like getting antsy, like, oh hell, when's he going to choose the next track? Which track is he choosing next? Because as soon as you clicked it, we were all ready to go. And it's like, just being able to hear that commentary and to be a part of that commentary on the inside, it definitely added a level of intensity and competitive nature. But at the same time, like having that one person, regardless of whoever the three of us it is, having that one person on the inside really, really makes a difference. And no, if it, when we do Madden in August, I will not participate because I really want everyone to have a fair chance.
Yeah, I think out of all of us, it'd probably be me that would participate for Madden.
That's fair.
Because all I would do is Hail Marys. I would not.
Exactly.
Like, I would not be.
I know enough to verse Joe, but I'm also not on Joe's level. So that'd be a more fair kind of opponent in that kind of situation.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's.
Go ahead.
And like, same as Bard from Rocket League. No.
I was gonna get Sky in here for our duos tournament. That's all I'm saying. But anyways,
yeah, we're not here for a wipeout.
I'm gonna stop you. Hey, dog, I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna give you two simple words: fuck no. And I know we're not supposed to cuss for the podcast. I'll bleep that out later. But don't you worry. There's no way. I know how you two play. There is no way in all of this beautiful green and blue earth that you two are playing together in that tournament. No.
So I feel for the Modern Warfare one, you and Sam would be pretty fair to go up against either way.
It would be because we're kind of trash, but I mean, that's where it gets complicated, right? Is if there's two of us, because then that leaves commentating to one person, which is doable. Don't get me wrong, but like, I think it plays a lot better. Like when Anderson and I were commentating, we were playing and riffing off each other and everything like that. If it's just one of us, we're going to be sitting there like, so what do I want to talk about next? Oh, I don't know. What do you think? Like it's going to be,
it's kind of boring.
Going to be a little difficult. So I don't know if we'll be able to do that with Warzone.
Especially since I fucking hate Warzone. So I'd just be there like, they're shooting people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shit, what was I saying before? I said Sky was going to join me. I don't know. Anyway,
don't know where you were going with that thought.
Yeah. What was this? Do you remember what I started saying? No. Okay, it's not a big deal. Let's just Moving on.
If it's important, it'll come back.
Yeah, or it might.
But I mean, overall, in conclusion to the whole statement there, like, it may not be a situation where we have to participate. You know, as long I think something really important we learned last night was the true importance of communication. Like, we knew it was already important, but you don't know until it effectively works. And then once it effectively works, you're like, okay, now I see why this is so important. Like, I understand what we have to do. And whether that means like we have a go between just for the tournament's sake, like, you know, or even if somebody's in it, it doesn't matter. Like, regardless of what happens, we recognize the importance of communication and what that's going to play in and how that's going to look as we move forward, you know, through the 3 remaining tournaments this year and whatever tournaments we set up next year, because it's just, you know, we know a lot more now than we did on the first one. And I think last night really proved how much more we know now.
Yeah, definitely good redemption from the first one, and definitely a lot more fun, I think, across the board. Really a shame that Rusty's internet decided to just fucking...
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, because, you know, he was even saying, like, he was like, man, I was having a lot of fun. Like, and that's great to hear that, you know, he was having fun, but, you know, just internet be internet sometimes. We've seen that with our stream. Like, and then, you know, of course, Joe's internet, no offense, but, you know.
None taken.
Yeah, I mean.
Mine's honestly been going in wild this entire time.
Yeah. But, you know, barring technical, like crazy technical issues like that, I think from here on out, a lot of our challenge series streams are going to be much smoother and definitely a whole lot more fun, and hopefully with a lot more giveaways as well, because that was cool. I really liked that we implemented kind of the chat giveaways instead of just giving away money to the people participating in it, because the chat is participating just as much as they are, as far as, like, you know, the time invested in being here. You know, it's just they're not the ones on the sticks. You know, they're the one on the keyboard, you know, spamming these keys to help Rusties. So,
well, I think too, and that really reflects on the mantra of our show, because even though we've rebranded, the mentality behind how we do things hasn't changed. On the sense of, this is a show for the people. Like this, you know, all the money that we get, and it's funny. It really is funny that you would be surprised how many people ask about the tournaments or ask about, you know, entering or how, you know, what's coming up, and they don't believe us when we say it's free to enter, but we're giving away money.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. There's no way. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's not real. No, it's 100% real. All the money that y'all invest into us, we invest right back into y'all. That's the
Dude, I even throw out a random reward, and it comes out of my own fucking paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, like that didn't come out of our PayPal, like, you know, with all like the gifts of subs and like the merch orders and stuff like that. Like, that's just like Anderson opened his wallet and was like, here you fucking go. Like, and I'm sorry, I know we're not supposed to cuss, but sometimes it's just, you know, you just have to, you know.
It's not.
Yeah, it's about giving back to the community.
Yeah. And
it is.
And again, you know, we said this time and time again, and sorry if we're sounding like a broken record, but again, thank you all so much for being there and being here tonight and being there Friday night and like just all of it. Because, you know, like doing this, like, you know, having a tournament between like you know, the people putting on the tournament and the people playing it, like, you know, that's a lot of fun, like between friends. But then having a bunch of people rooting everybody on, taking bets as to, you know, who's going to win, who's going to BM, like all that fun stuff. That's what really adds to it and can kind of come up with these kind of storylines within themselves, even though it's not like really a story-based thing. But it's like, I remember we were kind of freaking out, and we never updated you guys on the score. I know you were kind of mentally keeping track, but as far as like the actual score goes, there was a point where it was Gary in front. Like, it was going into the final race. Gary in front, you and A-Gear were tied, and then Rusty's and Isaac were tied. And so
yeah,
we had a 2-way tie. Like,
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. We might want to start updating that on the on each round because we were sweating in there, bro.
Yeah.
I was trying my hardest. I was like, okay,
what do you mean, like
what
the
did you
scores?
play?
Well, so
Yeah,
we were
y'all
updating.
never updated us.
Yeah,
we were updating chat. We didn't update y'all.
Yeah, we updated chat after every race. So
you never told us. So we're over in the VC going like, okay, so you placed here and here and here in these races. So you have, I think you have this many points. I think I had this many. Yeah, we're all like 2 points away from each other at some point. Like,
I would argue that adds to the tournament because I mean that's a whole mental game right there.
No.
Oh yes, it does. No. It makes it way more interesting.
Although I did at one point, like, so when we pulled Gary in for the interview, I had said,
also, on the last couple of rounds, I actually had the scoreboard up the whole entire time we were interviewing.
Yep. Now I didn't.
Y'all just didn't look at it.
Well, I didn't have the for as far as the main stream goes, I didn't have that up the entire time we were interviewing.
Well, right, but I had the stream open for the scoreboard in Discord.
But okay.
Yeah.
So here's something you have to recognize on that.
That you
just
didn't
very
click on
briefly. No, when you drag us in, and I'm seeing this from the racer's point of view, not from a commentator's point of view, from the racer side of things. When you drag us in, we're not focused on talking to y'all. We're focused on getting our cars better for the next race. Because every single one of us, as soon as we got out of that race, we were already thinking, okay, what do I need to tune? I don't care what the next track is. I know I need to be tighter in the turns and faster in the straightaways. And every single race, all of us were going in and tuning stuff on our cars, making sure it was better. So we're not focused on what's going on over here on the chat side with y'all.
Yeah.
We're focused on the game in front of us. So like, that wasn't going to be a forefront thought of us going like, okay, what's the scores? Like, we're not thinking about that until after we've already made any necessary changes.
I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, when we pull you in for the interview and you see there's 4 screens instead of 3 with just the 3 people, wouldn't you look at that screen and be like, oh, that looks like the scoreboard. Let me check that out real quick.
The point I'm trying to make is we're not looking at that screen.
Like,
I never had Discord up.
They're looking at the game screen the entire time because they're not having to do anything to get dragged back and forth, right? So, and going back, the only person I did update was at the very final end, and I meant to update everybody, but it just like I guess I forgot. Was Gary? And I was like, all right, man, you just need like first or second to win, and then that's it. And that's all I said. And I meant to tell you and A-Gear, like, hey, you two are tied. So, like, whoever comes out ahead here is getting second unless Gary comes dead last for some reason. And that's what I meant to do. So that's partially my bad. Real quick in chat, Batgirl Sky saying, I always tell my clients who I know play games to check y'all out. I may be clueless half the time, but they may enjoy it. Oh, thank you. Honestly, like that word of mouth is like a huge part of this. Like, I mean, because, you know, like we could do all the marketing in the world and, you know, like, you know, well, I should say Joe can do all the marketing in the world.
Joe can do all the marketing.
And, you know, have, you know, like a really nice fleshed out thing, but like, nothing is better than good word of mouth press. And I think Joe would agree with me on that. Cause like, I mean, you know, I can see like, you know, all the most positive reviews and I can think like, well, I wonder how many of those are fake, you know, but then if somebody I know says like, hey, you should check this out, I'm going to check it out, you know? And so we really appreciate that, Sky. Thank you. And if you are clueless, we hope that you at least are having fun being clueless with what's going on. But yeah, so I guess going back to the... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, do y'all have any final thoughts? Because I have a question lingering in my head that I really want to hear from you.
The only final thought I had is like, it's funny how many people like that actually recognize me that have like, I've told either to like check out the show or just like drop on by, see if you like it, or even some friends. And they're just like, oh, so you're just doing this to get big on Twitch and YouTube. I'm like, not really. I mean, yeah, that's a good goal to have, but it's not really my goal. I just want to have fun and where it goes. They were just like, but y'all, you don't really get back to the community. It's just for y'all, right? I was like, no.
No.
Like, it sickens me that I have to do this, but I'm just like, no, we get back to the community. I don't really care about my monetary gain. I have my own monetary gain. I take my personal finances and personal well-being very seriously, as I've told Joe and Sam multiple times, as they told me multiple times. And I'm just like, yes, I give back to the community. I give back to other various resources. It's not a joke. And they're just like, nah, but you kind of steal that money. I was like, well, first of all, that's illegal. Second of all, no.
Yeah. And
it's just amazing that it's amazing the amount of distrust there is. And I'm just like, no, it's not.
And of course, we're not going to get into like exactly, like how much we make off of it. But let's just say this. There's a nice chunk of change sitting in our PayPal that we're already thinking of how we're going to give that back. And, what's the next big thing that we can do?
Yeah.
And so we'll just leave it there. But
we're always moving that bar up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like this time it's a couple gaming mice and, a few t-shirts on Friday. Maybe it might be something a little fancier next time. Who knows?
Might be a little fancier. Who knows? The fourth or fifth time, it might be a racing wheel. You never know. Who knows?
I mean, we just, there's a lot of things it could be. A lot of things.
There's a lot of other factors that come into that when you're talking about money.
Yep.
As there always is.
Absolutely.
So, y'all brought it up earlier. Y'all were talking about it briefly.
Oh, sorry.
So, the battles, and not for nothing, I don't want to take anything away from Isaac, because Isaac was trying his hardest. That man was set up to fail at the beginning when he chose the Hot Wheels car. So, Isaac, we love you.
Salute to him for sticking with it, because I told him in the interview, I was because he was like, everybody's trying to say that this Hot Wheels car. I was like, dude, I tried that Hot Wheels car in practice. You should not use it. Like, I mean, he
stuck with it though.
But he stuck with it for that first round, and I was like, so are we going to see a car change? He was like, I don't know, maybe. He was still contemplating keeping that twin mill going, but
yeah, no, he said that when we were in the VC. He's like, I think I'm gonna keep this going. You know what? Hey, don't worry, guys, because he was trying to bargain with us.
I know. Yeah, he told us.
He told us.
He was saying he said to me in the first race, he goes, hey, Joe, you say the word, split that pot with me, I can make your problems disappear. And I was just like, I can't. That's so. And Gary's sitting there sweating. He's like, what's he gonna say?
I even said multiple times throughout the whole commentary stuff, I was just like, the amount of sportsmanship from Isaac, just going out there having the best time of his life and just trying to help everybody else have a good time. I was like, props to him.
Yeah, because when he come in, he was like, all right, so Joe didn't take me up on my offer, so I extended one to Gary. I guess we'll see what ends up happening. And then the next time he's like, well, no, Gary didn't want to do that either. So let's see what Aggie or Rusty's might want to do. We can make something happen.
Like the most sportsmanship like hitman. It was great.
So 3 specific races stick out in my head, and I'm curious. I wonder what your thoughts are, or as far as during the race and afterwards, looking back. Number 1, the very first race. It was, up until probably the last 2 laps, Gary and I were just rubbing his racing, baby. Like, what was y'all's thoughts going through that? Like, I'm sure y'all were shitting on me, but what was y'all's thoughts?
I think it was highly contested in the first couple laps, but after the halfway point, we kind of got bored.
Yeah, well, and at a certain, if I remember correctly, there was at one point a pretty good degree of separation. One of you would end up winning out. I think Gary ended up winning out in his Marble Red shitbox, and so he'd get enough separation on you. And so we, of course, we were there for as much of the battle as we could. And we were like, oh man, some really aggressive racing. These boys really want it, and it's like, so, and then we were talking about the technical specs. It's like, all right, well, so the Marble Red shitbox probably weighs a good 2,000 pounds more than that Lotus Exige that Joe is driving right now. Gary could really take
him on the straightaways.
Yep. And then even beyond that, even just in the Rubbins racing part, we were like, well, I mean, Gary could take advantage of that weight and just rammed Joe right into the wall. And there was a couple points where he started to, he got you close to a pinch off point. and then like he would kind of back off at the very last second because he didn't want to like I'm assuming he didn't want to fully take you out. I don't know if you had the same thought, like if you were trying to fully take him out or not, because it kind of looked like you did.
It was funny because Joe was driving like he wanted to take everybody out, but I was like, his car is significantly lighter than almost every car on this track.
So I wasn't driving to take anybody out, and I know that's usually the premeditated thought of my game plan.
The amount of times you bump sides and everything, I find that hard to believe.
let me finish. Everybody automatically assumes if you played a racing game with me, more than likely I'm going to try and put you in the wall.
Yes.
But this is a competition. This is a tournament. I was not trying to put anybody into the wall until they were trying to put me in the wall. What I was trying to do was rub against them and be able to either glance off or accelerate off of them, or at least maintain to keep with, especially in the turns. Because if you look, the times that I was hitting someone to pit them, which of course I'm driving a feather, so I can't. There was no way. I was giving everything I had, but the times that I hit someone was only because if it typically was Isaac. But if I was trying to pit someone, it's because we were both going at it. Like True. Gary and I, the entire time in the VC, we're talking. We're like, nah, dog, you ain't taking me. Nah, bro, the shitbox got this. I got you, dog. Germany, baby. Like, and it was so much talk back and forth. We knew what we were doing. We knew.
I got a question here. So in Forza, does the physics work that if you bump into someone, you can actually like gain speed off of them?
Yep.
Depending on the situation, I'm assuming like if you're coming around a corner, right, or say Gary's coming around the corner, right, in his Marble Red shitbox. Joe, as usual, comes flying in. What you can do is bounce off of him and maintain a pretty decent amount of speed. Since all the damage is cosmetic, right? You're thinking like, in a normal crash like that, you'd just be T-boning him and y'all would both be going off. But I was
about to say, see, that's the physics I'm missing, because I'm like, you know what? I thought Forza physics were pretty realistic. That's not what would happen, but since it was only cosmetic damage, that would probably happen.
And they are, but since we had the all the damage basically turned off to where it just made your car look kind of crappy. Joe was able to then do in situations like that, rub up against him and then kind of kick him off of his line, like kick Gary off of his line a little bit, and then Joe can take his place. So like it was honestly smart racing. Like in this scenario, like
I don't disagree with that. I was just wondering where the physics were, but since no damage was taken, there is no physics.
Yeah.
So like prime example of that too was there was a turn. It's on the back half of the first race where it's a straightaway and then it hooks hard in a 90-degree left, and then it has a U-bend that comes around and then hooks again left. In that straightaway, when we hit that 90-degree and then came out that U-bend, you saw Gary and I press right next to each other as we were going around, because my game plan, knowing I'm driving a feather, was I need to get him off his line. That man has been hugging the line the entire time. I need to get him off of it, because if I don't, he's going to overtake me. He's got more weight. He's going to shift me and my wheels are going to spin and I'm not going to have any traction. That's where if I can get around him and hold him, or at least keep our cars pinned together, if I lose traction, he'll lose traction. And then we both spin and we both eat it. And then suddenly we're back to zero, take off and go and see who can get going faster. And that happened a lot in those races. That was really my only game plan. Like I was not, and I saw the chats. I saw them, but that was the total game plan. I wasn't driving to take anybody out. I was driving as to rub against and be able to use them to, give me momentum or maintain my momentum on my line. So I don't, because there was no way. I'm basically a featherweight fighter going up against Mike Tyson with how little my car was compared to them. One hit and I'm screwed. You saw that in race 3 when A-Gear put me in the wall. He literally bullied me into the wall and then took off. Like, no question. So that was the mentality behind that. But that first race, like, it really showed a lot of how I could use those physics, because Forza is built to be much more of a simulation. We all agreed too. I'll say, if we had simulation turned on, none of us would have finished the race.
Oh, yeah, we said the same thing. We were like, if actual full-on collision was turned on, they would have all been out in turn one.
Yeah, like, they would have all been destroyed.
Yep. And then it would just been us sitting there like, well, so I'm glad we didn't do full simulation. Maybe one day, we can be like, all right, this is full simulation,
Yeah, when we have a lot better drivers. Maybe.
Yeah. And then we would also have it to where, like, you can't cut corners, because we noticed that happen a lot too, between all, like, with all of y'all. It was like,
if we had simulation turned on last night, we would have to be on like Daytona 500 kind of track, just a straight up oval.
Yeah.
I would disagree, because we were playing to what the game was allowing.
Yeah.
We knew that only cosmetic was on. So we're like, all right, Rubbin's racing, baby. Who's going to eat that wall? Go ahead, find out. And even cutting corners, like, we knew, like, we knew we were taking shortcuts. We knew we were cutting grass. We knew what we were doing. There was no question, because when we realized that there was no penalty points being given out on time, we were like, oh boy, okay, let's go. Like, but that's really us using the nature of what we were given to play. Like, which is
true, but at the same time, like, you can't tell me if I gave you the Prague track, like the full Prague track where you're going through the whole fucking city, or like the Australia track where you're going through the outback with all those turns and twists and everything like that. Like, some of the, like, yeah, you'd probably be able to get through it on full simulation, but with other racers, especially with them being live, it'd be a lot harder, because sometimes y'all did go into the wall or spin out on your own.
I think the only difference would have been we wouldn't have been going as fast.
Yeah,
because we were. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like the one thing, I remember saying it at one point when you were trying to catch up to Gary, and he had a really substantial lead, and I saw Gary was on his line perfectly, basically, like, for the most part. There was a couple parts where he went all a little wide, but then I see you kind of barrel through a few of the little shortcuts, like through the grass. And I at one point even said, I was like, I honestly wish he would take more shortcuts, because there were some points that I saw, like, you could have taken basically a straight line straight through the grass and basically skipped an entire turn. And I was like, he should have been doing that. But like,
yeah, we were talking about that for a good bit too.
Yeah.
Well, again, so there, I mean, keep this in mind too, and this is a part of the game physics. Factoring in, there are times where if you hit a big patch of grass, you're going to lose momentum.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we kept that in mind,
because your tires aren't actually catching the whole time. So there was one time, I think it was race 3, maybe. It was race 3 where it was like an S turn, and it was like there were walls dividing, and you had to weave through. But there was this massive patch of grass on the last turn, and I hit it on one of the first laps. And when I did, I lost a significant amount of speed, and I was like, not again. So what I would do was catch the gravel at the very end of it. So one side of my tire stayed on pavement and one side went through gravel. So I'm cutting just enough to hit that corner sharp, but and still keeping momentum, because one set is still sitting on the pavement to keep me going.
I mean, which we brought that up also, along with I think you even brought it up during your interview when we were talking about, like, where you were cutting corners and stuff like that. You even brought up, like, well, yeah, I seen you catch airtime a couple times on that, and like, as most people think, airtime, you think you go faster, but it's actually different, because there's still friction and everything like that, and you lose speed when you catch air.
Yeah,
I think I was catching air on I want to say Prague. Yeah, no, it was Prague. I hit the curb.
Prague had a lot of curbs.
It was about 2. Yeah, I think it was Prague and the what was it, Montreux or something like that?
Not Monza. Monza was pretty flat.
No, it was oh god,
all of them were pretty flat.
I can't remember the other one, but
it was 2 races you caught airtime on. One, I will say, one of them was significantly less than Prague.
Yeah, Prague, you would hit a curve, and then it's like,
you were just gone. I was just like, oh wow.
Yeah, no, Prague. It was that big, like, 90-degree U-bend turn, like hard hairpin coming out, and I was thinking, okay, that looks flat ahead of me. If I can catch that and then just break it and break hard left and take off straight, I'm good. I can get my momentum back, because my car was built like that. But when I hit that curb, I was like, like, and I took off. I was like, oh God, I don't have.
It was like, spoiler alert, there is no flat land after that. It is a hill.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, dude, like, so honestly, the first race though, the second race too, I think that second one was Prague, if I'm not mistaken.
Second one was Prague.
Oh my God. Prague was that
was
honestly, with the amount of racers we had. With the amount of races we had and how tight and technical it was, that was a phenomenal race. Because even I want to say Aegir was on my tail the entire time too at one point.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing that saved me was he caught a corner and went into the wall on the exact same corner that I did that like 3 or 4 laps later. And that just shows like if you lose sight of where you're going, that's it. Like, and because I think I had the lead when I hit that wall, and I was just like, and Gary shot right by me, and I was like I was defeated in that moment because it was already like next to last lap, and I was just like, bruh, there's no way I'm catching him now.
Yeah,
because I put in work to catch him. And Gary, I remember Gary was sitting there, and he was like, Joe, you coming up fast, man. I gotta think about this now. And like Isaac got in there and started messing with him. He's like, oh no. And that's when I came up right behind him and got him. I was like, let's go. And then hit the wall. And I was like, nope.
I'm sure a lot of those moments were very satisfying. Like, you know, when you finally catch up after, you know, 2 or 3 laps of being behind like a second or two. And so, yeah, because I mean, you know, I played a fair amount of racing games and back in my day. And so yeah, I know that feeling, but I mean to do it live and on a tournament, like I'm sure that was probably just
I played a fair amount of Gran Turismo and Forza, so I at least know what I'm looking at when I see a race.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so the 2 other ones that I had, what were y'all's thoughts on the epic battle going in race 3? Because that until Gary got like kind of put back there because his car was not built for turns.
No.
Like
Nope.
he couldn't hold it. But
I think we even said that during the commentary.
Yep.
Yeah, Aegir and I were battling, bro. The whole
if I remember
time.
correctly, going into turn 1, lap 1, straight off the rip, it was a 4 wide because the Rusty's wasn't in that one. There was a 4 wide turn in the first turn. And so like it was
that
all
was
4.
The last race.
That was the last race?
I think that was the last race.
Okay.
I remember because there was let's see, it was Aegir, me, Isaac, Gary. And like I remember because when we did it, we were all like, yeah, because it was just like we hooked it hard and we all 4 took it and it looked dope on our end.
Yeah, it looked dope on the stream too, because I remember I started screaming. I was like, and they're 4 wide in the first turn. What kind of craziness is going on here? And like my throat's still kind of sore from all the yelling I did. Like, honestly.
Yeah, mine too.
Yep.
Like, so race 3 though was really like it was a pivotal moment for what was telltale for the rest of the race, because that was Aegir needed to win that one to really like solidify him being in the race, like because he would have been 3rd place had he not. He would have podiumed at 3rd because he would have had to place 1st for the rest of the race. And when he won that, like he and I the whole time were thinking, this is do or die. Like one of us needs to win this in order to keep up. And knowing that Gary was in 3rd place, we're like, okay, so that's a significant amount of points going. We need, like, something's got to happen. And so the whole time, like when I finally figured out, because it took me a couple laps on that one, and each race really it took me a couple laps except for the last one. The last one was just horrendous. But when I finally got my mantra, my mojo going, like even in that hard like that Z turn going on or chicane or whatever they call it, like that was tough. I mean, tough, dude. But once we got that going, like, and we got that momentum going, dude, it turned into a huge battle. I mean, and the whole time he's in my ear going, don't mess up. Don't mess up. I'm right behind you. Don't you mess up. And I'm like, of course I'd messed up on that last turn and the next to last lap when I swung wide, hit the wall, and he took off past me. I was like, shit.
Yeah.
But
it was definitely an epic battle. But like, if I could take a second to just shout out A-Gear, because if we had to give like the most improvement from start to finish, it was 100% A-Gear. Like you could really tell that he was really taking the time to learn his car.
He was studying
and like, you know, and making the small adjustments, because by the time the last race was there, he was flying perfect around basically every corner. And I was just like, every time we went to him, it was honestly kind of like, no offense to A-Gear, it was kind of boring, because it was like there's nothing really happening. It was like, all right, yep, he hit that apex perfectly, and now he's going nice and wide out and getting as much speed as possible, so like nobody could catch him. And
he really learned his car during these races.
Yeah, and I'd say Gary, and we kind of mentioned it, Gary got a little lucky with winning the first 2 races, because that definitely set him far enough ahead to be able to kind of maintain and get that first place.
To be able to take those hits in the 3rd and 4th races.
Yep. And then, you know, but like I remember just A-Gear just like perfectly, like, you know, every time, unless, you know, like Isaac got in the way or something like that. But
yeah. And now it's funny you say that on the last one, because the last thing I have for y'all is what were y'all's thoughts when of course you saw the 4 wide, you saw Isaac put me into the wall in the second turn of the last race, which ultimately screwed me for the rest of the race. So Isaac, I got you in the next one, homie. But what were y'all's thoughts? Last lap, A-Gear's already pulled ahead. You see Gary and I come to a complete stop.
At first we thought it was a technical difficulty.
Yeah, at first we were just like, something might be wrong here.
Yeah, because I remember we were like I think Gary stopped, and then like you came up next to him, and we're like, at first when Gary stopped, we're like, oh, is there like some sort of technical difficulty? Like, what's going on? And then you pulled up next to him, and we're like, oh, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. They're drag racing to the very end around the last turn. And so we were like, it was definitely an epic moment. Being able to
I didn't know if, like, since you got put into the wall, if you wanted like a fair ending to it, or you were salty or anything like that. I honestly didn't know, so I was just like, maybe they just did this to be like, I don't know, either BM or just like make it fair between them.
So the mentality that went into it, we were on the last lap, and I'd almost caught Gary until I hit the wall. Like the reason I hit the wall, big, and I mean, it was a big hit. I shot across the field and hit the wall. The reason I hit it was because I mistimed my brake, because that turn I'd been focused on so much each lap. I'm like, okay, I know when I got to brake. I know when I got to brake. And I mistimed it and broke way too late. And when I did, I caught the curb and shot clear across the field. And Gary was like, oh shit, he's gone. Oh God. Okay. I'm out. Bye. And Gary took off. And then a few seconds later, Gary goes, yo, drag race to the finish. I was like, bet. And A-Gear, he couldn't hear us because he had music playing in his headphones on top of the game. So we were like very minuscule in his ear the entire time, unless he was trying to talk trash to us. Then the music was low and he was like, all right, boys, I'm on you. Let's go. But we, at this point, we knew, and again, shout out to him. We love him. We knew Isaac wasn't going to place on podium because of points. And we knew Gary had already taken first. We knew he was at that point. When A-Gear got way ahead of me, I was like, all right, well, I'm third. So at this point, it's just for pride. Let's just dog it at the last portion of this and see what happens. And from our perspective, we stopped. And I think what we said was, when Isaac passes us, because we were both in invincibility mode. We were both, ghosted. So we said, as soon as Isaac passes us, go. Well, I didn't listen for when I hear a giant, Mustang motor rolling up behind me. And Isaac flies by us and Gary gas takes off. And I'm like, oh God. So I hit the gas, I take off. And if it wasn't for Isaac, I think Gary would have had me, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Because I remember you guys came straight up to the line, like neck and neck. And at first I had called it for Gary, because it looked like on the screen, it looked like he had won. And I was like, and Gary takes it. Wait, what?
Yeah, we were both confused because we thought Gary took it. It was just like, wait, what?
And then it like switches, and it was like, and Joe takes second place. Oh my God, what a photo finish.
Yeah, so from our angle, like, of course, because all I can see is my screen. I'm here, and Gary is like on my back right fender, and he's pushing me, and I mean pushing with all of his might to try and spin me sideways and knock me out the way. And praise be, before I started that race, I want to say what did I dump? I dumped one specific part, but added a part for acceleration, because I was like, with knowing what turns we're about to take, because we saw the map and I was like, let me make an adjustment. And I was like, knowing that I need to accelerate out of those turns as fast as I can if I'm going to keep up, because both of them are going to be like navigating like crazy. If they hit me, I'm screwed. I got to accelerate out. And so when he had me right here, I started accelerating and my car started to slide. So I tapped my brake. And when I did, my tires on the game caught traction again and started to, I heard my car accelerate. And I'm like, yes, here we go. And Gary comes right up in front of me. And then my acceleration catches him. And that's where, like I was telling you earlier, holding on side by side, rubbing his racing. And I narrowly 9/1000ths of a second is what I beat him by, because I just started slowly and dude, if y'all could hear what was happening in the VC, bro, like we were going nuts. I almost spiked my controller, bro. I was like, yes, I did it. I was so happy. But that, dude, we just, honestly, it was all for bragging rights, because we knew at that point what the podium looked like.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to take anything away from y'all, because we knew y'all were keeping points. Like the whole time we're sitting there like, we know who won. It's okay.
Yeah.
Just say it. But it was honestly all for bragging rights at that moment, just to be like, hey, you know what? This has been a hell of a tournament. We've had a phenomenal time. This has been, bar none, one of the best gaming experiences I've ever been a part of. Let's send this out in guts and glory. And that's exactly what we did.
It was a good time. I will say that.
It was a great time. One final question. What camera view were you using? Were you inside the car or outside?
I alternated.
Okay.
If I was actually in second or third and I was, neck and neck with someone trying to pass them, I would go to either front car view, where I'm seeing the road and seeing them, or in car view, so I could get a viewpoint of like where my fender was, so I could like go right by them.
Gotcha.
If I was in first, I was in third person view, so I could get a wide view of the back end of my car from where they were coming up.
Makes sense. Okay. I was just curious. Like, I just realized I never asked anybody like what views they were using. So
yeah, I always use outside view. I'm horrible at like dash cam.
So yeah, I guess maybe it's just like the sim in me. Like I'm always behind the wheel, or like, if like, I remember I used to have a wheel, Joe. I don't know if you remember the wheel I had, but I would always do it if I could without the steering wheel, but still in the thing, so it kind of looked like I was in the car, and it was always awesome.
Yeah. For me, I respect people that do dash cam. It's just that I don't want to confuse myself or fuck up anything, because like I already drive in a dash cam view in real life because my eyes are in my skull. And then when I do that with racing, I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to mess myself up like that and get confused.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I'll tell you, there's one thing I really appreciated about yesterday that I didn't recognize in the first tournament, or honestly took for granted, or just didn't care in previous tournaments I participated in. But the amount of strategy that myself and Gary and A-Gear put in, I don't want to say Isaac, because Isaac was just like, the dude was just having a good time.
He was having a great time.
Bro was just BMing. He was having a good time.
We even at one point, said like he is out there racing his own race. Like he's not, he doesn't care about anybody else. Yeah.
I think I want to say it was like race 3. we're taking off, and Gary's way behind us in third, and so A-Gear and I are going, and I'm like, where's Isaac? and Isaac
he said that multiple times through the night.
Yeah.
Isaac goes, Joe, have you not looked at the lap times? And I looked down, and I was like 91 seconds ahead of him. I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, I'm just having a good time back here, brother. I'm enjoying my race. I was like, hey, like, honestly, as long as you're having fun.
If Rusty's didn't have his like shit internet problems and stuff like that, I would have gave Isaac just like the meme lord award.
Yeah.
Because I was so happy with Isaac. He was just like, "Hey, I'm just having a good time, just giving bargains out here, being the people's hitman." I don't give a shit.
I loved at one point he was like, "Well, I'm gonna be honest. In that race, I only had one hand on the controller because I had a chicken sandwich in the other one."
He was just like, "I got my chicken sandwich from the gas station, and you know that shit be banging."
Yeah.
So I had one hand on the controller, one on the chicken sandwich, and I was having a good time.
I can only assume what he was doing was like had it on his desk and was just like steering with his thumb here while just pressed down the gas the entire time.
I like to imagine
he just crab clawed his controller.
I like to imagine it was more like this. Like he kind of like had it ottered like this, like on his belly, like and then just like chicken sandwich, just like.
I couldn't even fault the man because he had a chicken sandwich and it was from a gas station, so that stuff was banging.
And it was like he said it wasn't even like a chain gas station. It was like a locally owned one.
So it was really banging. That grandma cooked it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, one thing I would like to address that y'all asked, I heard it in the commentary after I reviewed what y'all like had said. Because I basically just skimmed through to memories I had of like certain points in the race. When we were on the Top Gear track 4,
yeah,
y'all had mentioned y'all like, why are they stopping? Because all of us had come to a complete stop. The reason we stopped was because A Gear got completely lost.
Oh, God.
We hit the straightaway. Turn 1 was left. Turn 2, you follow the cones and it goes right it's a hard right going straight down to hit the pin. Well, when we were going, we took the first turn and all of us we were right on each other's tails. As soon as we hit that turn, 4 of us went right, 1 of us took off left. And he was like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, follow the cones. He goes, "What cones? They all look the same."
Yeah, if you haven't raced the Top Gear track, you're probably going to get lost on the first one.
It's funny because we went into that and I was because A Gear had mentioned that he loved like a previous map, so I was like, all right, so he's got some experience on Forza. I think he had to have played the Top Gear track at least a few times. But I'm pretty sure the driving line was on that, right?
It was,
yeah, okay.
But he had, so I think he went and actually turned his off manually.
Oh, okay.
Because he didn't want it. And I should have done the same thing in all sincerity because I knew the tracks, I knew which way we were going. I just like the only thing I was using it for was braking. But once I got used to where my car needed to brake, because the line's a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Or
it's like, hey, you should brake right around here.
Yeah, but like depending on your car and how you have it tuned, like you need to be prepared for braking sooner or later, or where you accelerate out. And
which we brought up multiple times during the commentary.
Yep.
Yeah, and so like that was the biggest thing was like he turned his off, so he didn't know exactly which way to go. And also we had just come off of that we had just done Prague on the second track, and that was a shorter form, so he was thinking it was just this massive circle.
Yeah.
Oh,
and so we ended up, of course,
that's the only track that crossed over itself.
Yeah.
That's the only track that had a figure 8.
Yeah.
Which we almost had a collision on the figure 8 because Isaac was coming up hard to hit the crossover, and here come the 3 of us coming around. I'm like, oh no, it's Isaac. And I just hear him like in the background. Chuckling.
Just waiting.
Like, oh God.
What a lad.
It was good. It was so much fun. Like,
what a mad lad.
Honestly, man, like I hope, I really hope, and if we allow it, I would love to call dibs on the second one if we ever decide to do a Forza tournament again, because that was so much fun. Like it was amazing.
Yeah,
and
no dibs. We do this on a case by case basis. You got to be fair. Got to be fair.
What Anderson's saying is he wants to partake.
No.
So I'm in the next one. All right.
Yeah, there we go.
No.
Sam be in the next one.
No, that's
okay. Now you want to
in the next Forza is what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying that's just like Rocket League. You've played Forza enough to you're too damn good.
I don't have thousands of hours in Forza. Not this one, at least.
Yeah. That's fair.
Forza Horizon 2 or 3, I've got a lot of hours in. So.
I just have a lot in Forza 5.
Yeah, I still have yet to play 5. Actually, I'm probably gonna, because I think it's on Game Pass too. I'm probably gonna download.
That's where my favorite car is, and the one I race with all the time that Joe knocked the ass out of.
Yeah, you live and learn.
Yeah.
Ain't no live and learn, you motherfucker.
Hey, what you learned was
Is that you're a shit ass racer?
Don't fuck with me on the track.
I didn't even fuck with you. You just slammed into my backside like
exactly right.
It's like, basically, don't get on the track with me.
Come over and burn your house.
Race your own heat next time, and you ain't have to worry about the heat.
What do you mean?
I don't know what you said. You just cut out completely on my end.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Well.
Anyway, boys, I think we've been talking about everything for long enough. I think it's a good place to end it here. I can't think of much else to talk about with it. It's just, conclusion is we had a lot of fun.
The weekend was great. The rebrand launch was great. End of story. And yeah.
Any final parting words?
Shout out to everyone who participated last night. Massive shout out to Gary for winning, and twitch.tv/176 Corleone tier 2 subs only. Go drop them on there. And then shout out to A Gear as well for kicking ass and taking names. It was a blast. But truly, like, shout out to everybody who participated. It was amazing.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yep.
All right, Joe, you want to hit him with that sweet outro?
That's exactly right. Yes, I would love to. So YouTube, this is your chance. So everything we talked about, you are going to be able to see this coming Friday. What does that mean? It means we have a new schedule. That's right. If you didn't know and you didn't catch it on Friday night, we now have a brand new schedule. Mondays are going to be either announcements or reaction videos. That's right. We're doing reaction videos now on YouTube only. So that means Twitch. You got to go over to YouTube right now and go subscribe. So that way you can stay up to date on all things on that end as well. Right? Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, all playthroughs. Fridays is still the challenge. And Saturdays is the podcast rewind. So if you tuned in late live here on Twitch, or you just didn't get a chance to catch it at all, Saturday you'll be able to see this very podcast over on YouTube. That'll be a lot of fun. And then again, because of how this is being released, the following Friday, everybody in YouTube world, you'll be able to see the recap and all the fun action that took place in the Forza tournament this coming Friday right here on YouTube. So, gentlemen, I believe it's time. We've been doing this for a while.
To say goodbye.
Bye, bitches.
Everybody, y'all have a wonderful night. We will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.